All right. So, in our last video, we talked about whether or not you should even have resolutions for this year, right? So I am a big proponent of, if it doesn't feel like you need to have a resolution this year, don't. Now, if you feel like having a resolution this year is going to motivate you and get you excited, here are some tips that you can apply that are going to help you to reach those resolutions. Because there's a study that I'm going to have to write down here who made the study, and I will. But the point is that less than 10% of Americans actually keep their resolutions past February. So, I mean, something's going wrong, right? Something is happening that we're setting these resolutions and somewhere in the process, we're losing them, right? So here are some tips. The first one, and by the way, I have a podcast episode on this same topic that if you'd rather listen, I'm going to put the link to that podcast episode in the comments to this post. So not in the comments, in the caption to this post, so you can just jump on and listen to that. So it's going to be more or less the same idea. The tips are the same. I made this podcast episode last year. Same tips are still relevant this year. So the first thing you want to focus on is you want to think of whatever your big goal is, but you need to break it down. Okay. So let's say that you want to remodel the house. All right, cool. That's a great idea. You want to remodel the house, but just the thoughts of how much time and how much money it costs and it takes to remodel the whole house is stressful, and you can't take on the whole house at once, right? So instead, what that's going to do is overwhelm you to think of such a big goal. I would invite you to break that goal down so that it's more attainable. For example, you want to remodel the kids' room by January 31st. You want to remodel the living room by February 28th, and you want to so on and so forth, each part of the house, and give yourself deadlines. That is tip number 2. Tip number 1 is break down your goals into smaller parts or smaller pieces. Tip number 2, and I hope I can keep track of this, whatever, you write this down, you keep track of the count. Tip number 2 is you want to make sure that you are giving yourself deadlines, because it's really easy to say, I want to accomplish blah, blah, blah. And then you do a couple things today, you do a couple things tomorrow, and then life gets in the way, you get busy, and then it's been January, it's been February, it's been March, and you still haven't accomplished what you want. You have to give yourself a deadline for the goals that you want to achieve, for the resolutions that you've planned for yourself. Now, you also want to be realistic with these deadlines, okay? It's unhealthy to even consider losing 30 pounds in a month or in 2 months. Don't do that. Don't put yourself through that kind of pressure. In fact, I would invite you not to do any dietary, weight loss, whatever resolutions this year. Just instead aim for being healthier, spending more time outside, and eating foods that make your body happier. Get away from the word diet. It's just not cute. With all due respect to those who choose to diet, you do you, boo, is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something different. Anyways, so that's number 2. You want to make sure that you have a deadline, okay? Now, you've got your goals broken down into smaller goals. You've got your deadline. Now, number 3 is you want to really track your progress, okay? So whether you're doing that on a calendar, you're doing it on your phone if you're techie and you like the alarms and the things and the color coding like I do. Maybe you have like one of those calendars on your wall or on your desk, and you're keeping track of how you are progressing. This way you can tell whether or not the steps you're taking are working, which ones are working better, which ones are not working as well, and you can rebuild and restructure your plan to meet your resolutions or to achieve the success that you want or to get to that goal as needed, right? So we've got break your big goal or your big resolution down into smaller ones. We've got set a deadline, whether it's a deadline for the big resolution or it's a deadline for each small milestone in the way, and track your progress. All right. Now, the last tip that I'm going to give you today is celebrate the little wins. Okay. If you are ambitious and you want to take on the world like I do, I get you. Okay. And you look at these big goals and you look at the top of the mountain and you're like, I want to get there. And you want to get there today. I am so impatient. I want the things I want them yesterday. Okay. So if you're the same, you got to stop. We got to stop. Okay. And what you need to do is, so that we can stay motivated and so that we can enjoy the journey and enjoy the process of getting to these goals that we want to reach, is pause to celebrate the little wins. Okay. So when you finish remodeling that first room, pause and celebrate. Honor yourself and say, woo, look at me. I did it. I got one step closer to my big goal. Okay? And that is not only going to make you feel good, it's not only going to make you enjoy the process, it's not only going to make you stop and reflect on the journey on the path that you're on, the journey that you're on. It's also going to keep you motivated, because if you're only looking at the big goal and you are not honoring yourself for all the little steps that are going to get you there, you can't just jump there, right? You have this plan that is going to help you to get there. If you have a good plan, you're going to catapult there, but you still have to do the jump. You still have to get there, right? So you want to stay motivated and stay energized about that goal, right? So celebrating the little wins is definitely going to help you with that. I want to know what goals you have, if any, for this year. If you have no goals, kudos to you. I support that as well. Because if maybe you're just, and we talked about this briefly in the previous video. If you haven't watched it, please go out there, go back to the previous video and check it out. Maybe what you need for this year is just to have peace, you know? Maybe you're still carrying a lot of weight and a lot of stress and a lot of healing that needs to be done from 2020. Just because the clock struck midnight on December 31st, it does not mean that something magically reset and now we're all good to go and everything's going to be peachy keen, okay? No, that's just not the way life works. It's just not the reality of things. So if you're still just processing and you're still just dealing with healing and being okay each day and doing what you need on a day-to-day basis, that's fine. That's good. Do that. Okay, because that is equally as powerful as having this big goal or this big resolution that you want to achieve by June or July or by December of 2021. You need to do what serves you. You need to do what's going to be good for you. You need to do what's going to bring you peace and joy and happiness and a sense of connection to self, because ultimately that's the most important thing. If you are coming from peace, if you're working from happiness and you're working from joy, and that is the main goal that you have is peace and joy and happiness, everything else will fall into place. Okay, I'm here for you. I love to read your comments. If you need any support in this process, you know that I'm always available for a free coaching call. You can find that in the link in bio. I have a few other free resources in my link in bio that can be helpful to you. Take whatever you need, use it however you want, and let me know how it goes.